How's it going, everybody? You know, PlayStation Plus has gone up in price, but a lot of you guys still have your extra or premium subscription rolling on. You renewed before the price went up, and guess what? Plus Extra still has a bevy of great games to try out, and I want to highlight 10 titles I think you should play in September if you're not picking up a lot of the major releases. In September, let's be real, like if you're not playing Starfield or Baldur's Gate, there's a lot of opportunity for you to clear up some titles in your backlog or clear up some of the games in Plus Extra. So let's talk about some of these games. Okay, so Bethesda titles, I don't know how much longer they're gonna stay on Plus Extra, so I want to give them a couple shouts. Ghostwire Tokyo, I think that's a game a lot of you guys should play. This initially had a PlayStation 5 timed exclusivity period, so Deathloop came out in September of 2021, and I believe it just left Plus Extra as well, so maybe Ghostwire Tokyo will stay for around the same duration. I don't know, but I think you guys should jump on it as soon as possible. Now, Ghostwire Tokyo, it's interesting because, yes, while it does certainly have horror elements to it, I would say it's more of an action-heavy horror game. Like, there's a lot of fast-paced action gameplay in Ghostwire Tokyo, and it's a ton of fun. And what surprised me about the game when I played it is that there's a sizable amount of content to the game as well, like a sizable open world to explore, and and while I wouldn't say all of the side content is super necessary, you know, if you do want to go for the 100% run, it's quite good. The thing that let me down about the game is I thought that the narrative was incredibly compelling at first, kind of fell off in the second half, and especially the conclusion, I did not find that satisfying whatsoever, but hey, can't win them all, and I still thought Ghostwire Tokyo, the good outweighs the bad, and I would definitely give that a shout. Next up, Prey 2017. This is a game that I constantly go to bat for, and, you know, all of the information that has come out about the development of this game, how the Prey moniker was kind of stuck on top of it, and, you know, Arcane Leon did not even really want to go that route. By the way, Prey 2017, this game was done by the same team that did the wonderful Redfall, and, yeah, maybe they should have just stuck to doing Prey 2. I know hindsight is always going to be 2020, but, there you go with that. Atmospheric as all hell, first-person title, psychological narrative as well. Just a really, really solid game, and unfortunately just criminally underrated. Has a little bit of length, sizable amount of content to it, and I would definitely give this a shot if you're into atmospheric first-person titles. Much like Ghostwire Tokyo, both excel on that front. Next up, Kenna Bridge of Spirits by Ember Lab. This is a game that launched with the PlayStation 5, also on PlayStation 4. Not a super lengthy game, but man, is this game a delight from a visual standpoint and artistic standpoint. I thought those elements work really well. Gameplay is fairly simplistic, but I thought the game turned out to be pretty solid. It's another game you can complete fairly quickly, so if you want to get into something that you can finish up rather quickly, Kenna Bridge of Spirits would be a solid one, and I think it's a game that if you did miss out on it during the launch of the PS5, if you are busy with, you know, Spider-Man, Demon Souls, give Kenna a look. I think it'll surprise a lot of you guys with the quality. Next up, Slay the Spire. Man, this is a game that I checked out when it was coming out of early access on Steam. I had just seen the reception for the game, and I was like, alright, I'm into card games, you know, at least I was into card games. A roguelike card game, first time I had ever seen this genre really be explored. Now it's really exploded, but checked out Slay the Spire, and I was blown away. Initially, it came off very simplistic, and then you get into the addictive gameplay loop, and there's a lot of strategy, there's a lot of thinking to a game like Slay the Spire. Now, I sunk in quite a good deal of time into Slay the Spire. It was at the tip of the iceberg compared to what some of my boys put in. I had friends that put in, you know, well over 100 hours into this game. It is an addictive game if you're into card games or you're just into games with a lot of strategy, because there's a lot of decision making with Slay the Spire. When you take a card game and you take a roguelike, the way they complement each other in terms of a gameplay style, it's very effective, and goes to show why there's so many games like this these days. But I don't know if Slay the Spire was exactly the first one. It was the first one that I really checked out, and I was really compelled by the gameplay and how kind of thinking ahead you gotta be when selecting cards through your runs. But yeah, great game, would definitely give it a shout. Even if you think, like, just looking at it on a surface level, this might not be your cup of tea, try it out, it might end up surprising you, and I'm fairly certain it will. Next up, Neo The World Ends With You. Now obviously, massive JRPG, quite an undertaking here. This is like a 40-hour JRPG. If you're trying to do everything, it can be even longer than that. I really, really enjoyed this game. Now, I loved World Ends With You when it came out back in 08 on Nintendo DS, but Neo The World Ends With You being accessible on PlayStation as well, you don't have to play the first game. You can jump right into Neo and still have a great time with it. Obviously, if you played the first one, you'll get some of the references and you'll enjoy it more for sure, but you're still gonna have a great time without playing the first one. The battle system, I think, is really good, utilizing various pins. The soundtrack, oh my goodness, one of the best soundtracks you're gonna see in a video game, in a JRPG. You could even make an argument that this is the best Square Enix JRPG soundtrack, and I know that sounds like an insane hyperbolic stretch, but this game's soundtrack is just tremendous. Story is fairly good as well. By the end of it, I thought, like, I was ready to wrap it up, and I really thought the final act of the game stretched on a little too long, but that's just my 2 cents. I still thought overall the game was really solid, and if you're remotely into JRPGs with good soundtracks, this is one to check out. Judgment is a no-brainer. Judgment is a fantastic game that if you're trying to get into the RGG titles, this is really the one I would say start with, because for a variety of reasons. Judgment was built for the PlayStation 4. It's not like Yakuza 0, which a lot of people say start with that, where that was a PS3 title. Judgment also has an English dub, which I know people are gonna be like, blasphemous, how can you recommend playing a game from RGG with the English dub? Well, you know, for some people, they're gonna prefer the English dub. They're gonna want to go through that, and Judgment has a great story, has a great combat system, a lot of content if you want to do everything. Overall, a great game, and then you can play Lost Judgment as well. Want to give a shout to Dreams, one of the more compelling games that Sony's ever published, done by Media Molecule, a studio that really focuses on these very unique projects and creativity as well. Dreams takes their creativity aspect one notch higher, where people are making their own games. And no, people aren't making like AAA big budget titles within the Dreams suite, but what they are making is some pretty cool projects, and if you know, take your time and just explore the universe of Dreams, you can find a lot of cool stuff here. Like, some of the stuff people have done is pretty wild, and you'll see that when you give this game a shot. It's unfortunate that Sony really didn't back this as strongly as I feel like they could have, but what can you do? You can't win them all, but Dreams, I thought, was a rather fantastic outing from Media Molecule. Want to give a shout to Don't Nod's Vampyr. Now, this is a game that got crapped on by a lot of people. Look, I know the combat isn't that great, but guess what? They updated this game to include, like, an easier mode as well, so you could just, like, breeze through the combat doing that. I thought the voice acting in this game was really good. I thought the aesthetic, the atmosphere, those elements were really strong, and the story was pretty good, even if the ending was kind of lackluster. Don't expect something blow away, but I thought Vampyr was a pretty good time. Next up, Alan Wake Remastered. Yeah, Alan Wake 2 is coming up, baby, and it's gonna be out at the end of October. Why not give Alan Wake 1 another playthrough? The thing about Alan Wake 1 is it's not like it's this gargantuan undertaking that's going to take you north of 20, 30, 40 hours. This is a game you can complete the base game and the DLC relatively quickly. Honestly, if you hunker down over a weekend, you can probably complete all the content. Now, that's a lot of gaming over a weekend, but, you know, I've done that, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have done that too. Alan Wake certainly does show its age at this stage of the game, but I still think it's quite a good game and still worthwhile to play through. Hopefully Alan Wake 2, a sizable improvement upon Alan Wake 1, but still had a great time with Alan Wake 1, and thankfully, 13 years after the release of the original, we're getting a sequel. And lastly, I do want to give a shout to the Talos Principle. I am not a big fan of puzzle games, but Talos Principle has such a nice sci-fi aesthetic. It's a really, really cool game with well-designed puzzles. They're making a Talos Principle 2. If you're not big on puzzle games, I would still say give this one a shot. I feel like the puzzles were, I'm not gonna say they were super straightforward, but they were rewarding to solve, but not overbearing either for somebody as dumb as me. So, like, you know, you guys will probably do fine with the Talos Principle. But that is gonna do it for me. Again, plus extra, think of it what you want, and I definitely have crapped on it, but a lot of you guys are gonna keep your subscription, so why not continue to highlight the great games? And a lot of you guys have stacked subscriptions, so good on you if you have done that. You really made out like a bandit with this price increase. But that'll do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.